Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel. 8:10 a.m. December 11th. Yesterday we had FOMC, and we got the cut as expected, which is pretty much priced in. Which I'm not surprised. We're back like pretty much to balance. We did hit last week's highs in the ES and the Nasdaq futures, then sold off in the overnights. All right, pretty heavily. Swept a bunch of liquidity down there, then pushed back up. Okay, reason for that being like Oracle actually had really nice earnings, but when you dig into them deeper, a lot of their they had a big profit from selling something to SoftBank for a something amount. It was like multiple $1 billion. So that accounted for, I think, their EPS beat, and then they missed guidance. And then there's a lot of capex expenditures and stuff like that that they're down 13% right now. The stock was at 400 and something dollars not too long ago. So that's bringing a lot of tech down. Now it was down a lot more earlier. Oracle wasn't, I don't think, but the rest of the market was. Okay, so we just had a nice move, and I was watching that from this morning, and I was like, oh boy, I would love to go long in these overnights. That would have paid nicely already, but now I gotta wait for a little bit of a discount to see if I can get a long in. Obviously, I don't know what the market's gonna do when we open. Okay, I would think the least amount of resistance is to probably go back higher, but we have to see. Right now, if this market opens up and you're getting Coinbase down 2%, Nvidia down 1.38, AMD down 1.330 at Broadcom as well. You're getting some of these stocks on a discount. Palantir's down 1.28. Maybe people buy them, right? And go to the Santa Claus rally. We still don't know if that's going to happen. Now, honestly, the market's setting up for. I mean, it came close to all-time highs. I have to really make sure of that. We'll look at that in a little bit. Okay, that's what we have now today. After the close, I'm pretty sure we get Broadcom earnings. Yes, after the close. So that's another heavyweight today after the close. Broadcom, ticker AVGO or AVGO. Okay, so that should also either spark, take down the markets. That's I wouldn't like to have. I wouldn't like to have any kind of overnight position because of that. Because either it's great and the market moves up, or if it's bad, we could go right back down. Because it's a pretty heavy weighted stock, Broadcom. Okay, that's what's really going on today. Not much in news, but we do have a 30-year bond auction at 1 p.m. All right. I hope I'm not doing something by that time, but some maybe times I am. I don't like to trade past noon. Um, However, if the volume and the volatility is good, now right now we have very nice relative volume with the help of the FOMC and the takedown of the markets. Um, I want to say, what time was it about? Yeah, at about, it looks like 10 o'clock last night. No, not 10 o'clock. Yeah, around 10 o'clock last night to 11. That's where we kind of bottomed. Got bought up around midnight, it looks like. A little before that. And then kind of bottomed out and then ripped back up. If you'd ask me, I think the sellers just got done, and I think the least resistance is up. That's based on market structure. I don't know what we do when we open. Okay, I really don't know. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets. Along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the week, of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. Also use anchor VWAPs. Okay, market internals. When the market opens, tells me how strong we are under that hood. right? Market can't outperform its internals. It's a very big edge. Okay, very big. What else? Bookmap. Bookmap had lately in this market. It's been a lot of noise with Bookmap. Bookmap has not. Um, when I first started using Bookmap, there was repeated patterns constantly that I kept seeing every day, multiple days. That has gone dormant a little bit of those setups that I've seen. We also have a kind of a different market from when I was first looking at that. Still an edge, right? But you know when to use a tool, right? And I'm guilty as anybody. When you have a new shiny tool in your toolbox, you want to use it even when you're not supposed to use it. You tend to lean on it more because you see things happen. Well, all the tools that I ever talk about now, I kind of am very numb to watching any one of them, and I know when one of them is providing me an edge. Because a lot of times it's noise. Like I can look at ticks, I can look at internals, I can look at the footprint chart, but I know now when I look at it if it's providing an edge. If I just hear a big order or a large offer or a large bid, and I'm like, okay. I mean, it has to make sense in context. That's only comes with the experience of looking at all that, because trust me, there was a time where I'm like, oh my god, the ticks are green, I gotta go long. Oh my god, this footprint chart, there's a big delta outlier and it has to go higher now. They're trapped. You get that excited. Now I'm just like numb, and I'm like, I only look at it if it provides me an edge. Like if I'm like, oh, that's important now, that's about it. Otherwise, it's just noise and I check it. I'm not staring at it, right? But that is not easy to do when something works in the beginning, all right? Now, with that being said, also use my expected move indicator. A couple of stocks has hit their expected moves to the downside. Believe it or not, Meta is one of them. What else? Netflix is one of them. And Berkshire Hathaway. Okay, so Netflix is coming up on my radar. Remember, you got that split, 10 to 1 split. Okay, Netflix is definitely coming on my radar. I mean, if we start to fall, I might start to nibble in my portfolio. I would like a farther fall, maybe into the 80s. I don't know if we get that. I know you're getting some purchasing of Warner Brothers, right? And I know there's like something, I'm not even sure right now the current status, because I think Paramount Skynance or whatever that's called now. I know they put a higher bid in, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. All I know is Netflix is under $100. Pre-market, it's up a little bit. We have to see. All right. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, now I was live yesterday, so again, that's when I don't post as much because I'm talking. Okay. That is Confluence Trading. Okay. Go to my YouTube homepage. Click on the link, sign up. What are you waiting for? I'm giving golden nuggets, folks. When I go live, golden nuggets. Why price is going to do this. What we should typically do in this case. Watch out for this. Hey, there's a gamma level here. I'm just letting everybody trust me. Okay? Trust me, I'm commenting. All right? Giving you what probably happens from the past. What generally happens here. Okay? And it's free, right? So, sign up and join. All right? Now, hopefully you join me every morning. Subscribe, set an alert. I do this every day. Give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, a bunch of technical analysis followed by the long and short trade scenarios of Nasdaq and ES futures. Okay. Now I hope we pull back a little more in these markets. Okay. I definitely am leaning long bias, but that could all change, right? That could all change. All right. Now, I think we are ready for the watch list, and let's look at futures. This crazy market of ours. We have silver Silver. I'm an owner of silver. I'm loving. Oh wow, silver's up to $62. Woo, woo. I should have added to that. Boy, I should have added to that. Oh boy, I think I own silver at like, I want to say 20 something dollars a share. I want to say 20 something. I could be wrong. Um, VIX. So that's up 2.40. VIX is up 0.57. 30-year bonds being bought should send yields lower, right? Gold up 0.26. Dow is flat. Russell flat. ES down 0.30. The dollar is down 0.32. Nasdaq's down almost a 0.5%. That's because of Oracle and obviously Nvidia, AMD all down. Okay, crude just can't get out of its way. Down 1%. Still holding under $60 a barrel. That is just not doing anything. That chart is just doing nothing. Bitcoin, talked about that a bunch. Around 93, 94,000 has been resistance. It just can't get over that. Who knows what happens? Okay, Ethereum down almost 5%. Moving on, Mag 7 Plus here. Let's look at it here. Eli Lilly. You got a pullback in Eli Lilly. Okay, people buying that today. Up 1.14%. Netflix up 1%. Remember, hit the expected move to the downside yesterday at 93 3/4. All right, that's not unusual to hit the expected move to the downside and bounce. That is not unusual. Apple's up 2.21. Now let's go to some laggards. We have Meta down 0.67. We have Tesla down 0.71. We have Broadcom down percent. We have AMD down 1% and 2.21. Nvidia down almost 1.5%. Coinbase down 2.18%. The Bitcoin proxy. That stock is also not doing anything. Right? It's teasing us. Teasing us. All right? Let's go to top sectors here. Top sectors. We got Visa. Visa's up 1%. I don't know why yet. Let's see here. I don't think I'm going to see any news here. No. Okay. Let's see. Laggard in this list. We have GE Vernova. Now, GE Vernova. My lord. My lord, that thing's a monster. I mean, I'm glad I own it. But it has made me a nice chunk of change. Okay? But your boy should have more shares of this. This thing was up to 726 yesterday. What a beast. I hope they split one day. And I see a dividend. So maybe this is down because of the dividend. Let's see. The dividend is on 1.5. Okay, the dividend's on 1.5, so that's not the case. Okay. But wow, oh, wow. I'm pretty sure I own that thing at like 280. God. You never know when this friggin' thing is going to... unbelievable. That thing is a monster. Anyway. So I'm happy. All right. Palantir, 1.32. Did I sound happy? Palantir, down 1.32%. Okay. That's a technology stock. And there's your Oracle. Woo, woo. Down 13%. My God. Ooh. That is getting slaughtered. Slaughtered. It closed at 223 yesterday. 193. Man, whoever bought that and thought your earnings run up were going to be great. Whew. Smoked. Okay. Now, let's look at the granular list here. What do we got? Unity Software up 4.39. Roku up 3.44. I believe that's Arista Networks. I always get Arista Networks and the Cloudflare tickers mixed up. So, up 2.75. Royal Caribbean Cruise Line up 1.20. Let's see here. That's about it here. Let's look at laggards. I'm sure there's going to be some. CoreWeave. CoreWeave's been getting hammered. Down to 4.15%. Trade Desk down 2.91%. Bitcoin ETFs down. MicroStrategy is just getting slaughtered. Mara Mining down to $11 a share, down 2.35%. Iris Energy down 1.89%. Riot, Hood, PayPal down. Okay? Moving on. Sectors. Sectors. Who's leading here? You got healthcare. That's your Eli Lilly. That's your Eli Lilly. Then you really got nothing. I mean, utilities, you really got nothing. Okay? Laggards, laggards. Let's see. That's the big laggard. Technology, remember, 35% of our market cap weight in the S&P 500, down 0.86. That was down a lot more earlier. Trust me. I don't know how far that was down, but trust me, we were gapping down. But that was like before midnight. That must have been really down. Okay? Now, semis is your laggard. Down 0.89%. Now, what I say earlier, my bias is probably to the long side based on market structure, right? A lot of times when you see the laggard of semis, we open up and people just buy the dip. Buy the dip. That seems to be the case, right? We got our cut. We already knew that was coming. That's priced in, right? That what I would always say about FOMC days. I was talking to my good friend. I don't know if he's an MPH, if he's a document, if he's a Leo, if he's a what. I don't know. If I don't know if he's watching, listen. I know he went to the bar. But I was telling him, doesn't matter about the cut. We already know. Unless Jerome Powell said something crazy on the press conference. Market knew already, right? And all it took was ORCL. And now guess what? We're almost back to balance. We're actually in ultimate balance in the NASDAQ right now, as we speak. Right back in that warm, snuggly bed. Okay? So, all that my point was this. FOMC didn't do the typical stuff it did. It didn't go down and go up. It kind of just went up. But then it went down overnight. And now we're back to like square one here. So that's why I say FOMC for me is just like a gamble. All right, might as well go to Atlantic City for myself. I don't have much edge. Okay, the market's wild. It's like a wild stallion. Okay, let's go to the economic calendar. Let's look at that together. Not sure who's with me this morning. Whoever's with me, good morning, good morning. All right, today we have, these don't move markets really. Export, balance of trade, initial jobless claims doesn't really move markets anymore. What else we have? None of that really moves markets anymore, but we do have 30-year mortgage rates. That doesn't use markets, but the 1 p.m. bond auction sometimes does. Like I said, I hope to be done. Okay? Now, let's go to the juice here. Do we have a Trump thing today? Let's see. White House press briefing with Levitt at 1. Trump signing ceremony at, what is that, 4:45? No, wait a minute. Yeah, 4:45. Yeah, there's really not much there. Is any red here to talk about? Not really. Let's see. At 8 o'clock, U.S. Let's see right here. U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick on NVIDIA H200 chips. That was a deal between Trump and the CEO. CNBC interview. Now, if you heard the interview with Jensen Huang with Joe Rogan, oh, he had a lot of great things to say about Trump. He really did. And he was kind of saying like, you might think you know how he's going to be when you're like one-on-one with him, but he's not what you think he is. He was basically saying he's a great listener, and he actually said he remembers everything you ever tell him. And I was just like, wow. He literally remembers everything he ever promised you and comes through with it. And I was just like, wow. You hear that a lot, and I'm not here promoting him. I'm just saying you hear that a lot when people meet him in person. And I actually have a family friend that used to work for him, for his Trump casino. He was some head of something. I don't remember what it was, but this was way back in the day, and this was before he was anything with politics. And he would always tell us how great he was. Almost like wow, because if you look at him on back then, he was just the rich guy, seemed arrogant, and Jobless Games came out, and that's what people say when you meet him. It's different, whatever. And let's move on. So Jobless Games came out. I don't really see the market. The markets don't really respond to them that much anymore. It looks like, what did we get here? Initial jobless claims, actual 236, forecast 220, so a little worse when we just got a cut. So market's pulling back a little, which I'm liking. All right, which I'm liking. Let's look at some stock news here. Let's talk about why that market kind of dumped here. Oracle stock slumped 12% of their cloud computing group is issued a sales and profit forecast which missed Wall Street expectations, adding that spending would also increase by 15 billion versus prior estimates, exacerbating growing worries that massive expenditures on AI might not generate the type of immediate returns hoped by investors. That's why we went down, folks. Adobe stock fell 0.6, drags lower by weaker general sentiment despite issuing a better than expected annual revenue and profit guidance, in a sign that Photoshop Maker may be benefiting from a push to monetize its AI enhanced offerings. All right, Eli Lilly stock rose 1.6 after the drug maker said its next generation obesity drug helped patients lose an average of 28.7% of their weight in late stage trial, outperforming its blockbuster drug Zepbound. Broadcom stock fell 1.4. Remember, it has earnings after the close today. Stock soared 14. I'm sorry. Stock fell 1.4 ahead of its release of the semiconductor's quarterly earnings after the close, with Mizuho, pretty sure that's how you say it, expecting it to report 86.9 billion in revenue, 9.34 in EPS for fiscal 2026, with AI revenue of 41.11 billion above its consensus. Planet Labs stock gained 70% of the company reported better than expected third quarter results as demand for satellite imaging and AI-enabled monitoring solutions drove strong growth. All right. It looks like Manchester United, the English football club, stock fell 4.2 after the English soccer club swung to its fourth quarter net loss, weighed by lower broadcasting revenue and ticket sales as the club sits out European competitions this season. All right. Moving on to more news here. We already talked about Oracle. It says Buffett to set to hand Berkshire baton to, I don't know how to say that, Abel, who has a tough act to follow. All right. Investors say Elon Musk's SpaceX trading debut will be craziest IPO ever. Okay. Coca-Cola names insider Henrique Braun as CEO, replacing James Quincy. Let's see here. U.S. stock index futures slipped after Oracle's downbeat forecast reignited concerns over heavy AI spending, overshadowing optimism from the Federal Reserve's less hawkish tone. Okay. Now, let's see if anything's in here. Maybe about Visa, that why they're up 1%. I gave you guys a bunch of news. Now, Synopsys, chip design software provider, beat analyst estimates for fourth quarter revenue Wednesday, driven by strong demand for its chip design tools. Synopsys, am I saying that right? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Synopsys, I think I am. Whose software is used by semiconductor firms to design and verify chips, has benefited from surging investment in artificial intelligence and advanced computing, which require increasingly complex chip architectures. Synopsys posted quarterly revenue of 2.26 billion. Let's see. Warner Brothers Discovery. Let's see here. U.S. President Trump said on Wednesday the news network CNN should be sold as part of the deal for its parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, or separately. CNN should be sold. Trump told reporters at the White House. Trump has been a vocal critic of CNN. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Warner Brothers is being courted by streaming giant Netflix and Paramount Skydance in separate deals with very different terms. Netflix's proposed acquisition of Warner Brothers is for assets including HBO, but the deal excludes the company's CNN and other cable networks. Those cable assets, including CNN, TNT, and TBS, are expected to spun off into a separate entity ahead of a merger. Paramount's offer covers the entire Warner Brothers company, and Paramount CEO David Ellison has emphasized that all his cash bid offers a clear path through regulators and would integrate CNN with CBS News. Interesting. Okay. Chewy. I don't know how to say that name. My lord. Moffett Nason raises target price to 50 from 48. Oracle. JP Morgan cuts target price to 230 to 230 from 270. And at Synopsys, JP Morgan raises target price to 650 from 600. Alrighty, folks. Getting long-winded here with this news. Let's just look at the upgrades, downgrades today. Why don't we just look at it? Let's see what they're giving us here. I might have already mentioned some. Let's see. BlackRock upgraded. Let's see. BlackRock. Roku upgraded. Interesting. Thermo Fisher upgraded. Unity Software. That's what we saw that was up. All right. Let's look at downgrades. Sometimes this list is not the best. Giving me an ad here that. All right. Intuitive Surgical got a downgrade. Union Pacific got a downgrade. All right. Let's move on. Let's look at those. You know what? I'm not going to go over market internals. FOMC basically was strong. Okay, I'll give you a little shot of it here. It basically just was strong all day. But like I said, I don't look into this because it's so wild. It's not much to go, ooh, look at the internals, break it down. Not worth it. Okay, really not worth it. So we're going to go over to our daily charts. Daily charts. Daily charts. Here we are. Look at that SPY. Look at the SPY. Here's our daily charts. All right. Basically a bullish engulfing candle, right? Right here. You pretty much engulfed 1, 2, 3 daily candles. Now, this just shows the good day, right? Well, we're at now is 685. 685. Where are we at? 685.10. In the middle of the session. Boo. That is not the best area you want to be in. And look at this balance. We're in the middle of balance. Boo. Again, boo, boo. Not where you want to be. You could see we tapped out and got resistance at last week's highs. Right? Now, we hit the 90 MA daily. Why does that show me different? I gotta think of that. I have this chart showing me we hit it here. I'm just looking at my two different charts and trying to figure out why one moving average is showing me it's hit and one showing me it's not. That's hold on a second, folks. I just want to make sure I have. That's why. That is why. Ay, 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 ay. That is why, folks. All right. Now, let's go back here. All right. Now, futures. Futures. Look at this, folks. Okay. So just in the futures. All right. Let's look at this together. So look, in futures, you swept all these lows. Took them out. You see how we dropped? Overnight, we dropped. This is really important, okay? So whenever you sweep all that liquidity, like this, and now guess what? You're here. If there was any shorts up here that enjoyed that, and then we close, and we're back in the range, the shorts have probably shot their shot. Just based on structure, we should go and attack these equal highs now at around 69.05s around. Okay, we'll get more detailed with the hourly charts. Okay, but that's what I'm noticing. Okay, and whenever you sweep liquidity, all right, and I'll show. I've been showing that, but like I'll do that in the hourly chart. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. Okay, just look at this range. I mean, this is all you need to talk about. That's why the trading's been the way it's been. Let's just say it's this, right? That's balance, folks. And that's a lot of balance. That's why this market doesn't just follow through. It never follows through. Oh my God, tomorrow we should go rocket it to all-time highs. Nope. Back down. Back to balance. Look at that. Right in the middle of balance. Horrible. Trade location. Really bad. Really, really, really bad. Okay. Now, Qs. Here's our Qs. All right, balance. You got a nice balance range here in the Qs. Look what we did. Went up to last week's highs. That's Friday's close. Okay. Hit the 9 EMA daily. Right there. Whenever you hit that, it's usually an algo, and I very rarely, if you can even look at it on the charts here, let's say when you're above it, I'm trying to give you it's not a good example here. I'd have to zoom out of when you hit it. A lot of times you just nip it, you see right here, and you like close above it. Your algos get pushed up, wick, right? So even here, tried, closed up here, right? So just showing you that. Now Qs, where are we now? Now it's relatively weaker a little bit. 624.20, 624.20. We are right there. We're by yesterday's open. You literally from yesterday, nothing's changed. From yesterday's open, not the close is different. We'll be down, right? But like pretty much from yesterday's open, not much changed. Look at last Friday's close. Not much has changed. There's this whole week we did nothing, even with FOMC. All right, go to futures. Futures, notice that nice wick here, right? All right. All right. So what we got here is same thing here. Nice liquidity sweep here. Woo. Now, what did we take out? We took out all these lows. Wow, wow, wow. That's a nice wick, right? And whenever you get that, that's not a good sign for sellers. How strong are you sellers? You can't even hold it down here. And so anybody that probably was short probably took profits, and now they're like, or shorts are still holding it from overnight highs or something, they're going to be in trouble. All right, unless a bearish news catalyst comes out or something. Okay, and we just have a lot of balance. Same thing, right? Remember I said ultimate balance. So, look at this range, right? And you had that wick come all the way down. That is a queen liquidity sweep there, boy. I removed a lot of sellers from this market. The sellers just shot the shot. I'm telling you, if there's no bearish catalyst today, and that those semis get the dip bought, I think we're on our way to go higher. I mean, that's generally what happens. Okay, that's generally what happens. All right, let's look at our breath. See how stanky the breath is of the market here. And that's your 50-day simple moving average here. We are at 53%. Now, that is back over because this is, obviously we went up because of FOMC. Now, obviously, there's not a pre-market level for this because this just measures the stocks when the market's open. So we went to 53%, very middling again. Very middling. Very middling. Okay. Moving on. We're going to go to the hourlies now. Let's really look at these hourlies. It's very important to just look at what we've been doing, right? It's just been a big balance area. Big balance area. And I got to tell myself that a lot of times, like, hey, if you're even in trades when you're in balance, right? There's one move maybe that's like a nice follow-through move. But the rest of the day, it's like little move down, and it's like, oh, maybe I should have took profit there. And next thing you know, either I'm getting hit break even, and I'm like, wow, I keep telling myself I got to take what I got in these balanced choppy market. Now, yesterday you did have a couple opportunities. We really pushed all the way up, pushed all the way down, pushed all the way up, pushed all the way down. It just didn't give you much of a setup yesterday. That's the only thing. It really didn't. You just had to go in and chase it, which I don't like doing. Okay, now moving over here. Okay, moving over here. All right, look at this price action. Now I'm loving that. This right here, that's going to possibly give me a discount. Okay, now look at this low. Now, one, you swept that liquidity. Guess what also you did? You swept these equal lows as well. Then what did you do? You closed back inside the range. Tried to go lower for about 4 hours. And once you went up into ultimate balance, you started to rip. Now, we went into single prints from yesterday. That's a market profile terminology. Okay? You went into single prints and got resistance. That is not really surprising. But what do we have? Poor structure. Whenever you see structure like that, that even why I'm biased long as well. Whenever you see structure that is like that, okay, it's poor because it's a swift move. And what do you get from swift moves? You don't really have a lot of support, like a lot of resistance here. There's not like this, right? This is support. Clearly, it consolidated and then broke. There's no consolidation in this move. So you can get an asymmetric move, or symmetric move, sorry, a symmetric move. You could do this today. And where would you be your target? Your target would be, what is this? That's last month's highs. This is last week's highs. Notice you have two swing highs here now. That's where the market will probably end up. Even if what I'm saying is end up, it might hit it and we might go back. But I think that's what the market wants. This is a magnet. Okay? You have to think, if I shorted here, okay, and we broke these lows, now we go into this big demand. And I know there's major support here. This signifies they took their profits. Now, strong sellers would hold this and break lower. Well, what did we do? We broke higher, right? Now we're getting a pullback into ultimate balance. Ultimate balance, that's around 68.60 to about 68.45. That's our mean. This is the mean of this balance area. Okay? You want to be above that. So it's setting up for a discount. Okay? And like I said, if we come back in here, an ultimate balance, and hold that demand zone, even if we did this, and eventually we did this, and the market, let's say, is not weak, and let's say tech is leading, semis are getting bought, we are going to take this high out. Then we're going to clean up these single prints, and we should symmetrically take this out. Okay? Let's go on to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ. All right. Here's the NASDAQ. NQ futures. Okay. What did we do here? Well, had a nice day, right? Where did we go? Last week's highs. Right? Last week's highs. And then poor structure ripped down Oracle's earnings. Right? Well, what did you break? This liquidity right here. These equal lows. You came in and dipped your toe into this demand. Right? What did you do? Went right back into the range. Now, the range would be considered like, this, right? Closed within the range. And then tried to go lower, tried to go lower, tried to go lower, consolidate it. Boom. What did you do? You broke 256, which is the most traded price of the month. held 256, pushed up, but then you hit the most traded price of the week. That's your 257s. That's not a surprise to me. Look to the left. There's a bunch of resistance here, right? It's the most traded price of the week. I expect the market to get a little caught up there. All right. However, again, I think the shorts shot their shot. Okay. Now, the market's going to make it look, like I said, probability. I think the market may make it look like it's going to go lower. Maybe you hold this demand and hold 256s. Tech doesn't get weak. You want to break that double high right here, right? It's going to become a swing high, most likely, if we pull back. Okay, you want to take that out, take out the most traded price of the week to 257s, and find acceptance here. I don't think it's going to have to hold too much because this structure is poor. Then you can start trying to rip up and go for what? 25867's last week's highs. That's equal highs, basically. That's what the market is going to want to do and gravitate towards if the market doesn't get weak. Now, like I said, generally, when you sweep that liquidity and the market tells you, okay, stops were run, we close back into range, the market had a choice here, strong sellers make this roll over, we didn't. Now, again, can a news catalyst come out today and say, and take out the 256? Maybe. I would say your demand zone here has to get broken for me to believe you're going to take this low out. And that also could happen too. The discount could come like this. Oh, wow, we're in this demand. And all you need to do is be ready. And if that market starts to hold above 256, you're good chance that we're going to do that. And maybe that happens, not today. Maybe it happens next week with a Santa Claus. Okay? Hopefully I'm making sense. All right? Let's move on. Market profile, volume profile, get you out of here. Let's look at market profile, volume profile. Always gives me the best view for like the way I look at markets now. Always the best view. Gives me the best levels to look at and judge on. Okay. Now, just to give you guys, this is market profile, volume profile. But to give you guys what I do every morning, right? I used to do supply and demand zones and support and resistance. Notice I don't have lines like support and resistance on my chart. I don't really need them. Supply and demand give me that. And then I have the most traded prices. And then I have all of the inflection points. Yesterday's lows, value areas, VPOCs, right? 50% retracements, the midpoints, the closes, overnight highs and lows. Those are all inflection points. I don't need to look at every little support and resistance. I don't need to do that. I used to do that and it would just be like too much work, and then too many lines on my charts. So I like this, the demand and supply. It just makes me cautious when we're in demand, and I don't want, I'm looking at a short. I most likely won't short. Depending on the strength, remember, the thicker the line for me, it's at least a 6-hour demand. 6, 8, 12 hour. They have the thicker lines. Smaller lines are 4 hours and below. 4 hours pretty decent though. But I wanted to cap it at 6 hour. I really want to say, okay, this is a 6-hour demand. This is a 6-hour supply. Those are stronger. That just means the base was bigger. Okay? Just like a VPOC or a most traded price of the month, right? A most traded price of the month more powerful than a most traded price of the week. See what I mean? No difference in demand zones, supply zones. The bigger the base, the harder it's going to be able to go through it. I don't know if that just makes more sense to people, but that's how it is. Okay? And you can look at the demand and supply zones. They're basically a little, if you want to look at it like this, they're little VPOCs, basically. They're little bases. That's all there is. They're little bases where we exploded from. That's all it is. All right? And that's when we come back to that little base, You just don't rip through it. That's just exactly how the most traded price of the week and most traded price of the month work. It's the same kind of thing. I mean, obviously not exactly. I'm just trying to give you an example. Now, let's look at what these markets did. All right, we know yesterday's highs were at last week's highs. We know the lows were in this big demand zone. This is like must be a 6, 8 hour, 12 hour, right? Right here. Dipped its toe and got bought. All right, dipped its toe and got bought. So that's yesterday's lows. Now we were gapping down at one point, like I said, came into the demand, got bought. That's your overnight lows. Overnight highs is up here. Now we don't have an edge. This would have been almost 100% net short from the open of the overnights, but guess what? Price is back here, above ultimate balance. Okay, kind of in the middle of balance, which is not the best area. It's not the best. Okay, but this tells us, all right, we're back at equilibrium. Right? It's not the best place to initiate something. Okay? Meaning, I don't want to just buy it or sell it here off the bat without any structure, without me knowing what's going on. Like I said, I don't mind to see something get challenged here because my bias is long right now. In here, then we do this, and then we hold. Then I can go, all right, I want to go long. But if you just open and it's like, oh, Steve said right here, we're getting long. No, 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 no. No, because you might get this. Chop, 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 chop. And then it does something like this, and then I'm long. And you might have got chopped. Right? That's why I say it's poor location. You need to see some structure built around it and go, okay, semis are leading, tech is leading. I'm liking it. All right? So, what do we have to play with? Now, we know we have ultimate balance here. Oh, Jesus, that was horrible. We have ultimate balance. 68.60 to 68.45s. We know I want to stay above that to get my long thesis, okay? That might not be the case, and we'll get over the scenarios, okay? Now, we know we have a very major level here, and that's kind of our equal highs at 69.08. We have a supply zone here. I'm going to include yesterday's close up here with the overnight highs. We have singles prints. This is emotional selling, which is also poor structure. I'll be going live, all right, around 9:45 a.m. Okay, so singles, we got our single prints. Okay, now we have fresh demand zone lined up right there, and guess what's in that fresh demand zone? It's your week-to-date view up. It's your month-to-date view up, anchor view ups. Okay, another algorithm-driven thing. They usually get reactions. Okay, that could be supportive in our market. Okay, now we have another fresh demand down here. And then the major demand zone at the bottom of balance. Okay, this is our playground. This is our playground. Another thing to note, the 50% retracement, the 50% fib, you can call it 68.57, also happens to be your most traded price of the week. Confluence. That's why your boys call it confluence trading. You want the most inflection points together. As many people see, oh, wait a minute, that's the 50% retracement every overnight. Oh, wait a minute, that's my month-to-day anchor VWAP. Oh, wait a minute, that's the most traded price of the week. Whatever. The more inflection points, the more confluence, the more the level is important. The more the level is important. Okay? Now, let's move on to scenario. Let me open up the session. Let's open up the session. Look at the price action. Okay. Remember what I said about this price action here. That is poor structure. That can get cleaned up very easily with some strength from the market. Now we're getting a nice pullback. Like I said, this area is pullbacks. This area is retests. This could just be a little profit taking for the big move to finish up around the 69.04 to 69.08, your equal highs. You just swept liquidity. Okay? Very important. Now, let's go into scenarios here. Well, we're going to start with the bull side. Now, what I'm going to have to tell, I'm going to be honest with you, what I'm going to have to really be honest is I am very long biased right now. Okay? I am seeing what I want. And that's where your patience got to come in. I want to see my setup. And if anybody knows, when you have a very clear plan and you're excited maybe, you don't wait sometimes. You feel like FOMO. Oh man, my plan's coming. Oh, it's not setting up the way I like it. I have to let it set up the way I like it. Okay? So, number one, give me that pullback into ultimate balance, into the 50% retracement of the overnights, into the month-to-date anchor. Like I said, all that confluence. All right? Let people think we're going down. And then what do I want? I want to see buyers step in. Then I want to see a higher low. Retest here. And I want to see tech, hopefully, is driving. Remember, semis is our laggard and tech is our laggard this morning. I want people to buy those dips. That's a discount for tech, okay? And then we can make our move. As soon as you take this swing high out, I think it's home free. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say it's going to be straight one candle. But I would say, more than likely, it will be like this. Very clean action. Take out the overnight highs and go to the equal high, the 69.08s. That's what the market wants. Now, I don't know if my boy, MPH, Leo, Documents 8, is listening. But he's been listening to me every day. And when I say, yo, NASDAQ wants that, I'm telling you, it wants that level. When he was live with me yesterday, I'm like, yo, this wants that level. It's got to, and that's what the NASDAQ did. Now, again, sometimes the market just rips, which it did yesterday. And that's not a setup. You're just literally chasing it. But I was calling it play by play. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Come in my room live, okay? Because I will give you the real deal of, hey, this is what should happen. And it doesn't mean that, I want to make sure of something. If you get in a poor entry and I'm like, that's not the best entry, and you make money, that does not mean I'm wrong. I speak in probability. So we all know there's outliers. Okay? We all know there's outliers. That's the thing you got to understand in trading. Okay? When I speak, I make sure I say, this is what normally happens. That doesn't mean if you get a poor entry and I said it's poor and you made money, that I'm wrong. Okay? Because you need to repeat something. One-offs don't count. I've done it. I've took crappy entries and made money. Guess what happens? You give it back because you think that's a setup. Okay? Just want to make sure you understand that. Now, we could get a little bear trap today. And what would that bear trap be? This is what it would be, folks. We could get a violent push down through ultimate balance. Okay? Rope in shorts, make longs nervous. Go into this demand. Look at all this consolidation here. Okay? And you have a major demand right here as well, that thick line. This could be the bear trap. If you don't take that swing low out, the overnight low, the 68.17s, I think we are still set to go higher. Okay, so if we come in here and go like this, even sweep this, even if we did that, and you did a higher low back in this range, and then maybe a little hold, this could fire. And this right now, it could take a little time to cut through ultimate balance, but that could be your doop. And then you think that would happen. You give the shorts one last shot. I'm going to be watching this area really like a hawk. 68.30 around support right there. I don't care if it's broken. I just don't want it to hit this swing low. Okay? Now what I'm telling you right now is both of those scenarios are very important to me. Usually I'm like, I don't know. These ones I want to see. Okay? Now, this market's a tricky one. Okay, so I'll give you one more. All right? Got support here. And this is not my favorite, but it could happen as well. Let's say you take that swing low out. Okay? And you might test last week's lows. Maybe you even go and fill that gap, and then you do one of these, a lower high, and you're like, uh-oh, this could end up in balance. I'm not a fan of that, but that could happen. This come down here would mean the market's weak. That's why I'm not as much a fan of it. Okay? Moving on. Shorts, which I'm not a fan of today yet. Now, don't get me wrong. A scalpy scalp is different. I'm not talking about scalps here. I don't even know what my scalp would be right now. That's more of in the moment. Okay, so let's look here. Okay, now, what do we have? All right, we're at ultimate balance. I know that's tough usually to go through. All right, so one thing that you could see here, and I'm not a fan of it. Okay, I'm really not. All right, is this. If we did push up, this is important here. Use single prints right here. Okay? If you get resistance, if you just break this swing high and you get resistance in single prints, that is bearish. And you get a lower high, that is bearish, folks. I would think you could get a nice little short scalp here back into ultimate balance. Now, if you want to hold a runner and see if we challenge and start to dip and go all the way down to break the support here around the 68.28's about, then you can hold something. I am not confident in this market just ripping. Now, if the market just all out is like weak as hell, yes, we can do that. I would be watching my internals and my ticks to see if we can take that swing low out here. And then it's off to the races, and maybe we fill that gap and we go all the way down to 67.80s. This market has to be very weak in order to do that. Now again, I am not on the side of shorts today. This is viable though. Okay? It's very viable. Now, what else can happen? We could drive up, right? And guess what? You go to the equal highs, 69.08's last week's highs, in supply. As long as you go up, then you make lower highs, right? People probably take profits. And you probably can get maybe some scalp short. Do you go all out back to? I don't think so. But I don't know what the market's going to do yet. Okay? I don't know what the market's going to do yet. That's the shorts. That's your ES. Hope you're with me. All right, let's make this a little smaller so we can talk about our NASDAQ here. Right? You can see that profile. That's telling you all you need to know about what we've been doing. Balance, right? Okay. Now, we also swept liquidity I showed you earlier in the NASDAQ. We came down into this demand, tipped our toe in it, and whoop, bought up. Where's price now? At the worst location. Okay? You're in the middle of ultimate balance. Your price is right here. Ugh. It's not the best place to be. It really is not. Which makes me go, ugh, about the ES, because the ES is more bullish to me. Now, obviously, the Oracle and all this stuff, that's why the structure is not as good. For me, when I looking at this, I'm like, oh man, not a big fan of it. Not a big fan. Okay? So, what do we have? We have a very clear equal high level here. Notice you have a real-time trading hours session high. You have another real-time trading sessions high. You have another real-time. So this high here, 25869, that is very powerful. That's your equal highs. That, my friends, is a magnet. Okay? This, my friends, shows you the sweep. This, my friends, shows you the market, if it's weak, would be ripping lower. Market is here. That's why I'm saying I'm biased long. Okay? Explained that earlier. I just want to drive home the point. Okay? So, ultimate balance. We got 256s here. Our most traded price of the month lines up with this demand zone. Lines up with the month-to-date anchor VWAP. Okay? We have another fresh demand zone here. You can just see the sheer consolidation here with the overnight most traded prices right here. And then you have our, which now probably could be a swing low here, the overnight lows is your real gauge of this market. Like, if it gets taken out, that's bearish. You can't take that out. All right? Now, we know we have the most traded price of the week at the 257s here. That has caused resistance. Now, let's break it out. Let's break it out. Okay. Okay. I do not like this chart at all. And the early volume is strong enough to get us out of this mess we're in, meaning ultimate balance, meaning you're in a chop zone. Okay? This is the most traded price of the last week in the month. That is a chop zone. The early volume might help us get out of it. Okay? So, let's go over scenarios. And I'm gonna get out of here. Let's do it. Let's do it. Go to the bull side. Okay? Now, that's why I said I don't like where this is. I really don't. Okay? So, what could happen in the NASDAQ? What do I want to see? Remember, you don't have the single prints like you do in the ES. You do have poor structure, but just that's the only single print. It's not as good. But you do have some overnight single prints. Okay? So what I'd like to see, if it's strong, push up. Right? I want to see it break the most traded price, the 257s. Hold 257s. Now you can make the move. Break the overnight highs. Go to the magnet, the equal highs, the 25869s. Now, if it's gravy on the top, there's an unfilled gap above us. Starts around the 25890s or something like that. That would be cherry on the cake. The ice cream, or the cherry on the ice cream, whatever you want to call it. You can fill that gap. If we do that, Santa Claus is most likely coming to town. I don't know. But that's very viable. Okay? Now, what else could happen? Here's the bear trap. Okay? Push down into this demand. Into the 256. 256 is a very key level. Look at the support in 256 going all the way back. We really haven't broke it until last night's overnight session. It always gets held. That is very important. Okay, so 256, even if you put a little toe down here, but you go back up, make a lower high, or a higher low, now you can start working. Push back and go up. Now, even one more bear trap in here. Push down quick. I want a quick one. Down to the overnight most traded price. And like I said, as long as that swing low is secure, I don't care if we break that support. If we close back in here and you get some lower highs, wait, higher lows. I always get that reversed. Higher lows. I think we then make that move. go back through ultimate balance, and there you are, off to the equal highs. Shorts, I'm not a fan of it. Probably a little better in the NASDAQ, but still not a fan of it. I'm not a fan. All right. Now, what could happen here? Well, this is what we need to do. I would need to see this taken out, the 256s. And let's say we hit that demand and bounce up, but we hold and hold under the 256s. You might get your push here to that support. That support of that consolidation is 25470s. Like I said, I want to see what we do here. Okay? If I'm like, uh-oh, this market's really bad. It's turning over. And you get a push down into here and a push back up, and you can't make it back into this range, we're going to take out that swing low. And there's a high volume node here, 25320s, that I think we probably hit. If you break that, ooh, not good. I don't know if that happens. I don't know. Okay. Now, I'm not a fan of up here as much, because if we break up here, obviously it's bullish. You are in supply. Now, if you're a true scalper, you might want to see this broken and go, okay, I'm going to wait for a close back inside this range, then a lower high, and maybe another lower high, and then let me take a scalp to see if we can go back into range. All right, that's it, folks. That's my scenarios. I'm a little jazzed up today because I like what I'm seeing, especially in the ES. I prefer to trade the ES, okay? But I like the chart in the ES better. Obviously, that's ES, SPY, S&P 500, okay? SPX, all right? So, smash the like button if you enjoyed that, all right? Hopefully you did. Hopefully you did, all right? Now, I do this every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Subscribe, get that alert. All right, give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards. Just gave you a bunch of technical analysis, and now I just gave you the long and the short trade scenarios in the Nasdaq and the ES futures. Long and short scenarios in the Nasdaq and the ES futures. Okay? Now, if you want the in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That is Confluence Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. You can also get my indicator for free. The expected move of the week. The expected move of the week. 70% of the time, the market closes within the range that my script gives you. 70% of the time. Okay? I already said Berkshire Hathaway has broken its expected move to the downside. Netflix broke a move that expected to the downside. That didn't sound right. That's okay. Meta broke the expected move to the downside, or touched it. That would be 643.36. 643.36. That's actually a nice pullback for Meta. Okay? That's it, folks. Now, hopefully I see you live and you hear my commentary. If you don't go in there, that's fine. Instead, just join me every morning because I'll be here tomorrow morning. All right? Let's have a great day of trading. Okay? Remember, no trade's a trade. You protect the capital, protect the mental capital. The mental capital is key. Ooh, boy, that mental capital is key. When that thing starts going, you start doing stupid stuff. Real stupid. And you even know you're doing it. That finger in your hand on that mouse has another brain than your real brain. Oh, I clicked in. I'm in. I should get out. I shouldn't be in it. Oh, what am I doing? Right? Mental capital. Very important. Very important. Anytime I drain that a little bit, I'm like, what are you doing? Your brain starts getting foggy. You start doing stuff you know you're not supposed to. It's almost like I gotta lose weight, and I'm only gonna have one cookie. One turns into a bag, and everybody knows. I could even, let's just say Doritos, something like Doritos. Doritos, can you have a chip? Can you have one chip? Is that really a deal that you want to negotiate with yourself? Because I know when I have that one Dorito, it's like, oh, you know, did someone just shoot something in my arm? Because why does that feel so good? And then it's like, you know what? Maybe two chips, maybe three. The next thing you know, the bag's in the garbage, right? Because you broke your discipline, and now the two chip made you go, well, what? I mean, what's a third chip gonna do? Am I really gonna gain 10 pounds from three chips? Exactly. Why do the colors look brighter? Exactly. Did I just do DMT? Did I just lick the toad? Like that's why I'm saying the mental capital, right? Because I can hold that mental capital, man, for weeks. And all it takes is one crack in that armor. One crack. And you're like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And then you can't revenge. You got to sit back and go, all right, I know my rules. But the beauty is when you follow your rule and maybe you take a loss, all right, you're not even that messed up. You might not like to lose, but you're not that messed up. So I know that's a little soliloquy there, but I really want to drive home the mental capital. It really is important. It really is. It just becomes it's like a snowball turns into an avalanche. Everybody knows it. If you're a trader, you know exactly what I'm saying. So everybody have a great day. Hope to see you in my Discord. Take it easy.